Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and I'm going to try to get some work done on the pond again today. If you saw yesterday, we got the bridge set in, which was my #1 priority with renting the mini excavator. But basically, everything else I had planned this week seems to be falling apart. And I'm going to walk you through a lot of that, and it has to do with the weather, and mainly it has to do with fixing this back pond bank, and how I think my plan there may not work. But I'll get into all that as I go along. Right now, I'm going to bring the excavator over here and work on shaping this bank on the side that we haven't really worked on yet. So I'll get the machine and we'll get going. Not long after we did the pond expansion, I dug a couple of swales that are meant to funnel water from the rest of the property down into the pond and keep it filled up. And also mainly to keep the rest of the property from being so muddy all the time. And it's worked really well actually, but I didn't quite have enough reach with the tractor backhoe to do a good job of finishing out the end of this swale. So that's what I'm doing now, just kind of smoothing it out. And now I'm moving on to my main project for the day, which is where I hit my first snag of the day. Well, actually, my first snag of the day was that it rained all morning, and then I had some errands to run in the afternoon, and I'm not getting out here until the evening when I've got this machine rented and just sitting. Alright guys, I started this video off talking about things not always going according to plan. And we're getting ready to jump into what I originally meant, which is I brought over a professional to look at my other dam and ask his opinion on what I wanted to do. And he said he didn't think it was going to work. And we're getting ready to go over to that, but first I want to talk about this right here. This bank comes in and then juts back out and back in, and it's weavy all over the place, and it comes out, drops off 2 feet, and then is flat down in the water. And I prefer the shape of this other bank. Let me show you this other bank over here. See how this entire thing has a nice slope around it? I really like the look of that, and I was wanting to replicate it on this other side. And now I've started to do this at the mouth of this swale, and I don't know if I want it like that. I'm thinking about maintenance on this. The way I do it now is I back over this with a brush hog, and it cuts it and gives it a real clean look to the pond. As opposed to right now, how you see this grass coming up. I feel like if I finish shaving this off, I could go all the way around the pond like this, cut all that material off, and then that might just make it harder to maintain. Basically, I want to give it some time and think about it. I might even show it to my wife and a couple of the guys who work in the shop and get their thoughts on which one of these banks would be better long term. The other thing is, I've rented a machine for 7 days and 40 hours. And if I use it all 40 hours, then I'm spending about $27 per hour that I use it. If I've got this thing for a week and only put 12 hours on it, I'm spending over $100 per hour, or 90-some dollars an hour. That doesn't sit well with me, so I feel like I'm up against the clock to get a lot done. But I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. If the way the pond is currently shaped is better, I don't want to change it. So I'm going to give it another night and sleep on this. I'll read all your comments, see what you think. Is this bank better the way it's currently shaped with this drop off? Or would it be better if it had a gradual slope all the way around? There for a minute I was gonna think this was gonna be a lost day for productivity if I didn't make up my mind on how I want this bank. Then I realized that I need to pour the concrete in these blocks and get my rebar and get it set up so that I can actually lock this bridge in place. So I'm gonna get that done and then we'll take a look at the far bank. I had some 20-foot long sticks of 1/2-inch rebar that I want to use to stake down the bridge. And I've cut the first few pieces into 4-foot sections. Now I'm heating it up so that I can more easily bend it. I went ahead and included the footage of me heating this up with a torch that doesn't even get hot enough, even though I quickly realized I didn't even have to heat this at all for it to bend easily. Now I'm going to proudly show the camera the way I bent this into a sharp point at the end before realizing that's not what I need. I need a gradual loop at the top so that it will slide over the bridge. Once I figured all that out, it was pretty quick to bend 3 more of these, grind points on the ends, and cut some straight sticks for driving straight in. That's not a hammer. This is a hammer. That was not at all what I came out here to accomplish. I'm glad that I got a little bit of clean out done on the end of this swale. I cut a little bit of slope there so I could see what this would look like if I decide to finish cutting it. And I've got this staked into the ground with the rebar. I've actually got a few bags of cement mix up there, but I don't want to bring the mixer down here and I don't have water or electric down here. And it's getting close to dark. I don't want to try to mix it up there and carry it down here in buckets. I think I'm going to get a paddle mixer and just do this tomorrow with a paddle mixer in a 5-gallon bucket. So all we've got is these cavities on those 8 concrete blocks. So let me show you what I've been talking about on the pond dam and see what you guys think. Now we're on the opposite side of the pond with the bank that has a little bit of a leak coming through onto my neighbor's property. And I want to fix it, but I cannot spend $8,000, $10,000 to bring in a crew or a professional with a giant machine to completely drain the pond and tear this bank out and redo the whole thing. It's all I could talk myself into is budgeting $1,000 to rent that machine. And I'll do whatever I can do with that machine and the ones I own and do the best I can, and I think I'll fix it. And if I'm wrong, I will end up paying the cost eventually. But I'm going to try the $1,000 solution or the $200 solution before I try the $10,000 solution. So what I was hoping was that this bridge is about, this dam is like 6 foot wide, 8 foot wide, but the side of it from the fence to where it drops off into the water is about 3 foot. And I'd like to extend that 3 foot bank out to 6 or 8 foot and make this a nice wide flat dam and pack it in and solve the leak that way. But I brought over a retired equipment operator who, I'm not going to tell his resume. This guy knows what he's talking about. And he said the only right way to do it, which is to drain this down and peel all the topsoil off of the dam, cut a keyway through it, pack that keyway with clay, and then widen this out. And that may happen. You may see a year from now a video where that entire process happens and it's all done the right way. But I can't do it today. So I'm going to do the best I can. Now, what are my options here? What was I hoping would happen? Well, in a lot of the other videos where I've talked about this, people said, why don't you take the clay that you have and push it out here and widen this dam? Well, I think the obvious problem with that is that if I piled a bunch of clay out here and then drove out on it, it's just going to continue to push into the pond and push into the pond and push into the pond, where I think you could halfway fill the pond before you had this 3 foot dam out to a 6 foot dam. And I think I may do a little bit of that anyway and at least fix this curve, then try to get grass to grow in it and let it get some strength, and then just keep working my way across. But I've got until the weekend to make a decision on that. And my next alternative is using a pond sealer. Pretty inexpensively, I can buy bags of bentonite clay and dump them along the bank, and they are supposed to work like the Dammit product. A lot of people on YouTube are using this product called Dammit that you pour along your bank, and it sucks into your leaks and kind of plugs them up. And mixed reviews on that, but it's really expensive. Again, I could spend easily $1,000, $2,000 on that product, and it might not work. So I'm thinking about doing some redneck solutions. I'm going to do some research into something else that people have suggested to me and I've seen done before, is putting sheetrock in here to seal it. So I'm considering sheetrock or bentonite clay as an inexpensive way to seal this dam. The thing about making these videos is I could just edit this down and only show you things that went well. This isn't going well, but I'm going to show it to you anyway because that's real life. Everything you do probably doesn't work out perfectly either. Anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.